If I woke up tomorrow morning in my 50s or 60s with an extra 30 pounds on me, this is exactly what I would do. I would focus on 6 specific habits with the highest return on investment, and a few of them might surprise you. I'm Dr. Rachel Felber. I'm an ER doctor and a women's health and strength coach, and I help peri and postmenopausal women figure out exactly how to work with their bodies to efficiently trade fat for muscle and get stronger and healthier than ever. After menopause, our bodies change dramatically, even if we don't do anything different in our lifestyles at all. Because of the drop in estrogen and all of its many protective effects, it becomes much harder to build muscle, and the default is actually to quickly lose muscle, which obviously impacts our fitness level and our energy level. Unfortunately, the strategies that used to work so well for us in our 20s and 30s just don't work anymore, and we need a new strategy. The good news is that we don't need to rely on ever more restriction and discipline to get the results that we want. What we need to focus on are the things that tend to be taken away from us during and after menopause, such as muscle, strength, recovery, and our metabolic health. So if I woke up as a woman in her 50s or 60s feeling this way, these are the 6 things that I would focus on. The first thing I would do, and this probably won't surprise you, is start a strength training program. While it's nice to feel toned and look good in and out of our clothes, what is even more important is improving our metabolic health. And muscle is one of the, if not the most powerful ways that we have to improve our metabolic health. Muscle communicates directly and indirectly with the rest of our body and our other organs, including our brain, gut, heart, and cardiovascular system, our immune system. And our muscle tissue actually helps to inform our other body systems and our organs how to function. After menopause, with the precipitous loss of estrogen, we enter a state that's called anabolic resistance. And that means that our bodies become less sensitive to the messages that we give it to build muscles. So we need to be more intentional about our workouts and giving our bodies the right stimulus to build and maintain muscle. Now, if you care a lot more about losing fat than building muscle, that's fine. You're not alone. As we build more muscle tissue, it actually becomes a lot easier to lose fat. If one of your biggest goals is to lose fat, you should focus your efforts on building muscle, because muscle is a fat-burning machine, and a lot of women don't know that. Now, if you've never lifted weights before, I understand that it can feel intimidating because it feels like this whole world of new stuff that you're just not familiar with. But I encourage you to just get started. Just break the seal. And like everything else in life, you'll find that once you start taking the first steps, it's not as big and scary as you had thought. Now, in terms of going about this safely and putting together a good plan for yourself, if you have someone in your life, like a friend or family member who is knowledgeable in this area, ask them. I would hope that they would be happy to help you. Another approach is actually asking AI. Chances are AI will give you at least a good response as many of these personal trainers you might get at a commercial gym. At the very least, it's a great jumping off point. Or if you prefer a more personalized approach, you could hire a personal trainer or a coach. The most important thing is to just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to happen. The second thing I would do, and this probably won't surprise you either, is prioritize protein. Now, I know so many women focus on eating less. They want to lose weight. They want to get in shape. So they decide to just eat less. And that leaves them massively under eating protein. Our bodies are constantly breaking down and rebuilding structures and organs. And that requires a pretty consistent inflow of protein, since protein makes up all of these structures. Not just the structures, but protein is required for nearly all of the biochemical reactions that happen in our bodies. And we want to give our bodies access to plenty of fresh amino acids all throughout the day, not just a big chunk at dinner, so that our bodies can continually engage in the processes of renewing structures and building muscle and maintaining muscle. Unlike carbs and fat, we don't actually have a way to store amino acids in our bodies for later use. So that means if your body needs access to amino acids to fix something or to build something entirely new, and it doesn't have access to plenty of amino acids coming in through dietary protein, your body is more likely to resort to actually breaking down your muscle tissue to get access to those amino acids. And that's the last thing we want, especially after menopause when hanging onto our muscle is already so difficult. So if I were starting over, I would prioritize protein, not just in the day. It's not like I just want to hit my goal for the day, but I would want to hit a goal for each meal. I would want to get enough protein in big chunks several times throughout the day so that my body could continually engage in the process of maintaining and building muscle tissue. So I would shoot for at least 30 grams per meal over 3 to 4 meals. And depending on your age and size, at least 120 grams of protein over the course of the whole day. The third thing I would do is increase my overall daily movement. And this is different from workouts. Somebody who gets in a great high intensity 60-minute workout a few times a week and then feels like they're covered, they're healthy, they're active enough, and then spend the rest of the time mostly sitting or mostly inactive. That is a bad approach. That is not going to get you the body composition and the health that you want. There's actually something called exercise resistance, and this is really unfair, but basically a body that is spending most of the day inactive or sedentary is not going to get the full effects of the exercise that they do if they set aside a dedicated, say, hour to exercise. There is a study that describes this very well, and I'll include the link to it below. The takeaway from that research and this concept is that doing dedicated exercise is excellent, but it does not negate the negative effects of being sedentary for the rest of the day. The more you can be up and moving around, standing instead of sitting, walking instead of standing, do meetings or take phone calls while walking, parking farther from the entrance to the grocery store or the shopping mall, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. This type of activity really does matter and it really does add up. So it's helpful in terms of contributing to our overall calorie burn throughout the day. But more importantly, it contributes to better metabolic health. The more time you're spent being active, things like walking, especially after a meal, the more your muscles pull glucose into them and rely less on insulin to manage the glucose load in your bloodstream. So when done on a regular basis over time, this can contribute dramatically to improving your insulin sensitivity. When your body can manage glucose without needing as much insulin, that's the goal. And I'm not talking about a 30-minute walk or a 60-minute walk. Even just 5 or 10 minutes is enough to have the kind of impact that we want. People talk about having their daily step goal, something like 7,000 or 10,000 steps a day, and that's great. But even more importantly, just like we don't want to save all of our protein for the end of the day, we want to spread it throughout the rest of the day. We want to spread our physical activity throughout the day as well. In terms of improving our metabolic health and our insulin sensitivity, our bodies will respond a lot better to small segments of physical activity throughout the day, such as a 5-minute walk every hour, as opposed to getting all 10,000 steps in at the end of the day after work. So if I were starting over, I would do something like set an alarm on my watch to go off every hour to remind me to walk for just 5 minutes. And I would make a conscious effort to just be up and moving around more than I have been. Fourth thing I would do is start doing 1 HIIT session per week. HIIT is high intensity interval training, and it is a very specific type of cardio workout. They are one of the most efficient ways that you can improve your metabolic health and your cardiovascular health. The benefit that we get from this type of cardio exercise is tremendous and really remarkable for the amount of time put in. A properly done HIIT is only something like 15 or 20 minutes with a few minutes warm up and cool down on either side. And it gives benefits that far, far outweigh an hour or 90 minutes on a treadmill doing moderate intensity cardio. I just uploaded a video on this topic on high intensity interval training to my YouTube channel. and I will include a link to that video below. I recommend you watch that to learn exactly how to put together a proper HIIT workout. So if I were starting over, I would include just one 15 to 20 minute HIIT session per week and focus on increasing my fitness over time. Number 5 is I would reduce or eliminate my alcohol intake. Now, if somebody said this to me 5 years ago or so, I would have laughed so hard I would have spat my Malbec all over their faces. But now that I know what I know about how it impacts our bodies and our efforts at improving our body composition, it definitely makes the top 6. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to just stop drinking cold turkey, but the truth is the more you can cut back and the sooner you can do it, the better. You are going to notice dramatic improvements in your energy, your sleep, and your body composition. Even if you make no other changes in your life, just cutting out alcohol, you will notice the changes in your body. I talk to women all the time who ask me, what is the best supplement they can take? And how can I dial in my diet perfectly? And what are the best exercises for so-and-so changes in my body? But they're still drinking alcohol on a regular basis. And what I really, really want them and you to understand is that if you are struggling with crappy energy and crappy sleep and trouble with losing fat and losing your muscle, and you're still drinking alcohol, this is possibly the number one change that you can make that will dramatically impact your results in a pretty short period of time. And problem with alcohol is not just that it is empty calories without any nutrition, or that it increases hunger and cravings, or that it reduces your inhibitions, so you tend to make worse choices in terms of what you eat, but it also directly impacts your overall metabolic health and the way that your organs function. When you have alcohol in your system, your liver sees it as poison, as a toxin, which it is, and your liver gets busy processing that. And while the alcohol is in your system, your body is not able to efficiently break down fat or access fat for energy. And furthermore, the food that you eat while you have alcohol in your body is much more likely to be put into fat stores. Alcohol also messes with our hormones, and there are many that are really important in the context of improving our body composition, including testosterone and growth hormone and melatonin and insulin, and all of these are negatively impacted by. Now, lots of people turn to alcohol to help them sleep. And the problem with that is, while yes, alcohol does tend to help us fall asleep, it has a negative impact on the overall quality and the architecture of our sleep. So when you drink alcohol close to bedtime, you're more likely to spend less time in REM sleep and in deep sleep. And these are the phases that are most important for our recovery and for muscle building and for giving us that restfulness so that when we wake up the next day, we are alert and we're not suffering from that brain fog. So if I woke up as a woman in my 50s or 60s struggling with body composition changes and worried about my overall health, cutting out or at least cutting back on alcohol would definitely be one of the first things I would do. The 6th and final thing I would do is protect my sleep like it was a matter of life or death. This is one that is really hard for so many of us, and this is the one that's the hardest for me, is to prioritize sleep and give it the respect that it really deserves, especially if we're looking to improve our body composition. If we're looking to trade fat for muscle, sleep does need to be a non-negotiable. When we're chronically sleep deprived, everything becomes harder. We are hungrier. It's harder to ignore our cravings. Our decision-making gets affected. Our motivation to work out gets affected. Our recovery gets harder. Our hormones are impacted and our blood sugar control takes a hit. And that's not even to mention all of the high-quality studies out there that show that chronic sleep deprivation increases our risk for dementia, for certain cancers, and for all-cause mortality. So in a way, it kind of is a life or death situation. If you have everything perfectly dialed in and your diet's on point and your exercise is on point and you're moving more throughout the day and you're cutting out alcohol, but your sleep is still crappy, meaning low quantity and or low quality sleep, your body is not going to transform in the way that it otherwise could. I see that as trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Some concrete things that you could do to improve your sleep hygiene are try to get to bed around the same time each night. If you got to drink alcohol in the evening, try to have your last drink at least 3 or so hours before you go to bed. Avoid having caffeine later in the day. Reduce your screen time in the evening as much as possible. I know that's a hard one, but that makes the list. And avoid eating a large meal close to bedtime. And if you're like me and you get in bed and turn off the light and then your mind just starts racing with all of the things that you have to do the next day, you can do the mind dump, where you have a pad of paper and a pen next to you at the bedside, and you just jot down all of the things that are going through your mind. And when you offload that from your mind to the paper, often it will help your mind calm down and relax and allow you to fall asleep. So that's it. Those are the 6 things that I would do. You've probably noticed that none of those things are exciting or trendy or even really complicated or difficult. These are just the foundations that are most likely to move the needle and will give you the biggest return on your investment in terms of the time and energy and effort that you put in. After years of practicing medicine and studying this field and coaching women who are going through these challenges, I can tell you confidently that these are the things that matter the most. These are the things that will get you the body and the health that you want. I'm Dr. Rachel Felber. I am an ER doctor and a women's health and strength coach. Thanks for watching. And if you found this valuable, hit subscribe.